What if I told you that heaven didn't stay silent when Jesus died? That while the earth shook, the veil tore, and men wept, the throne of eternity erupted with light. We've been taught to see the crucifixion as tragedy. But what if it was the greatest coronation the universe has ever witnessed? What if the moment we call death was actually the moment heaven came alive? For centuries, preachers and scholars have debated what happened on earth that day. But almost no one asks the real question: what happened in heaven? When the Son of God breathed his last, every angel stopped singing. The light that fills creation dimmed, and for the first time since eternity began, heaven itself trembled, not out of fear, but because the King of Glory was crossing from eternity into time. It wasn't the nails that held him there. It was authority. It wasn't weakness. It was strategy. He wasn't losing. He was legislating redemption through blood. At that very moment, unseen to human eyes, the order of heaven shifted. Thrones moved, crowns fell, and every realm bowed to the power of surrender. You've heard about what happened on the cross, the pain, the sacrifice, the love. But what if I told you that while men saw death, angels saw enthronement? What if the darkness wasn't the absence of light, but the birth of new creation? Tonight, you're going to see the crucifixion from the one place no one ever talks about, heaven's perspective. And once you see what really happened there, you'll never see the cross the same way again. And then, silence. Not the kind born of emptiness, but the kind that comes before revelation. Heaven held its breath as the Son of God released his. The angels who had sung since before time began now stood motionless. All of creation waited, because even eternity was listening. The sound of sorrow echoed faintly across dimensions, but no one in heaven dared move. The music of worship had ceased. The trumpets of glory were still. The very air of eternity vibrated with a tension words could not describe. Even light seemed to pause, as if unwilling to touch a world where its creator was bleeding. This was not defeat. It was divine restraint in its most powerful form. The Father's throne burned with intensity, not of anger, but of indescribable love. Around him, the elders bowed lower, their crowns trembling with holy reverence. The Holy Spirit hovered between heaven and earth, ready to ignite what had been promised. Every corner of heaven pulsed with energy, grief and glory intertwined. It was the quiet storm of redemption forming in absolute stillness, and in that silence, something eternal shifted. It wasn't the end of hope, it was its beginning. The same voice that once said, "Let there be light," now whispered through the dying breath of the sun, a whisper that carried across galaxies, across ages, across every heart that would ever believe. The silence that shook heaven was not the absence of sound. It was the sound of God listening. High above the trembling skies of Calvary, the throne of heaven began to glow, not with judgment, but with a light so pure that even seraphim turned away their gaze. What men saw as tragedy, heaven saw as transformation, the Lamb taking his rightful place through surrender. Rivers of radiance flowed from the throne, cascading across creation like tears of fire. Every drop of that light carried mercy, the kind only love can afford. The Father watched as his Son bore the weight of all existence. Heaven itself seemed to weep, its light bending like glass under the pressure of grace. Not a single angel spoke, not one dared move. They could feel what the Father felt. Love so fierce it burned through sorrow. And for a moment, time bowed to eternity, and eternity bowed to love. The radiance from the throne was alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Each wave of light carried a message through the cosmos. Redemption is being written. It swept past stars, through galaxies, into dimensions unseen by human eyes. Every corner of creation was witnessing the fulfillment of a promise whispered in Eden. The light was weeping, not because it was fading, but because it was overflowing. And in that flood of glory, the heavens remembered the words spoken long ago. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. Those words, once written in Scripture, now pulsed through the very light of heaven. The throne was no longer just a seat of power. It was a fountain of tears made of light. Heaven was not mourning death. It was celebrating redemption in disguise. As the light from the throne rippled through eternity, two radiant figures stepped forward, Michael and Uriel. They did not come to fight, but to stand as witnesses to the most sacred moment in existence. The heavenly court, filled with unnumbered angels, gathered in solemn formation. No sound was made, and only the heartbeat of creation could be felt beneath their feet of fire. For the Lamb's sacrifice was not just redemption, it was a divine strategy. Scrolls of light appeared in the air, ancient and alive, unfolding in front of the throne. Each one carried the prophecies written before the foundation of the world. From Isaiah's words to David's Psalms, every promise now converged on this single hour. The hosts of heaven saw their commander, bleeding, yet commanding victory. What looked like defeat on earth was heaven's declaration of triumph. Michael's armor shimmered like liquid starlight, engraved with the names of the redeemed. Uriel stood beside him, his eyes burning with wisdom older than time. They could both feel the tension in creation, like strings stretched between justice and mercy. The Father's voice echoed through the chamber, not in thunder but in calm authority. Let the plan proceed. What was written must be fulfilled. And as the decree went forth, the council bowed. Not to a ruler sitting in strength, but to a king hanging in surrender. That paradox, power through humility, became the heartbeat of heaven itself. Michael's hand gripped his sword tighter, not in defiance, but in reverence. Uriel lifted his gaze toward earth, and a tear of pure light fell from his eye. When the blood of Jesus touched the earth, it didn't just stain the dust, it spoke. A frequency older than creation itself rippled through time, slicing through heaven's silence. Every drop carried sound, and every sound carried meaning. It was the echo of redemption, the vibration of mercy rewriting law. The cry of the Son was not ending, it was beginning. The heavens trembled as the sound reached the throne. It wasn't noise, it was music, made of sorrow and victory entwined. Waves of divine energy rippled through eternity, resonating with the memory of creation. The same voice that said, "Let there be light," was now crying through broken humanity. That cry became the bridge between the seen and the unseen. In every corner of the cosmos, angels paused mid-flight to listen. Even the stars flickered, as if keeping rhythm with the heartbeat of the cross. The sound carried the weight of every sin, yet it was drenched in forgiveness. No storm could match it. No trumpet could rival it. It was the song of salvation. Heaven had never heard such beauty in pain, or such victory in surrender. And as the echo reached the farthest gates of eternity, heaven responded. The throne released a pulse of radiant light that spread through every realm. The veil between heaven and earth began to thin, trembling like air before lightning. The universe itself bowed to the frequency of grace. And in that resonance, the plan of God moved from prophecy to reality. The moment Jesus breathed his last, something unimaginable happened in heaven. Thrones began to tremble, not from rebellion, but from realignment. Every authority, every dominion, every power in the heavens and below felt it. The death of the Son sent shockwaves through creation's hierarchy. Positions shifted, not by force, but by fulfillment. The old order, the shadow of law and sacrifice, bowed to a new covenant sealed in blood. Every fallen power that once accused mankind now stood silent. The courtroom of eternity had reached its verdict, paid in full. And when that decree echoed through heaven, crowns began to fall, not in defeat but in adoration before the King who conquered by dying. Even archangels lowered their heads, their glory dimming before the radiance of the cross. Michael's sword, once blazing with fire, shimmered with reverence instead of war. Uriel's wings unfolded, scattering sparks of golden flame across the heavens. The hosts of light fell to their knees, overwhelmed by the mystery of divine humility. Heaven wasn't watching a tragedy, it was witnessing a coronation. And as thrones moved and crowns rolled across the floor of eternity, a voice filled the expanse. It was both thunder and whisper, both Father and Spirit in perfect unity. "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Those same words once spoken on earth now reverberated through every star and realm. The kingdom had shifted forever, and love now reigned as law. Across the endless expanse of heaven, the light began to shimmer like water disturbed by wind. Angels, beings of pure flame, stood trembling before the sight of their Creator's suffering. For the first time since the dawn of existence, their brilliance dimmed under the weight of divine sorrow. Tears formed, not of water, but of fire, burning as they fell into the rivers of glory. Each ember that touched the floor of heaven became a symbol of love, refined by pain. Michael, the commander of celestial armies, stood still, his blade lowered to the ground. The sword that once defended heaven now glowed softly, warmed by compassion instead of wrath. He watched, unable to act, as redemption was forged through agony. Every instinct of battle in him longed to intervene, yet the command of heaven was silence. In that stillness, even warriors learned what mercy looked like. Beside him, Uriel's face radiated light so bright it cracked the air around him. His eyes, white with revelation, reflected the mystery unfolding below. He understood what many would not, that God's justice was being satisfied through self-sacrifice. The angels saw flames of judgment turned into rivers of grace. What was once separation was now reconciliation, burning like dawn through the universe. The sight overwhelmed the celestial hosts. Wings folded, crowns lowered, and thousands wept light. Their tears turned into sparks, rising like incense before the throne. And in that sacred exchange, heaven itself became an altar. The angels that cried fire weren't mourning, they were worshipping. When the Son whispered his final words, "It is finished," heaven did not hear defeat, it heard command. The phrase rippled through eternity like a royal decree, carrying the authority of creation itself. Every angel froze, every throne bowed, and every light in heaven flickered in reverence. The words were simple, but their meaning infinite. They declared not the end of life, but the beginning of victory. The voice of the Son pierced through every realm, from the depths of Sheol to the highest heavens. Even the foundations of eternity resonated, vibrating with the sound of divine fulfillment. The great scroll of destiny, sealed since before time, began to unfold. Each seal opened with a burst of light, marking the completion of one age and the birth of another. The covenant was sealed, and redemption was alive. In that moment, the Father's throne erupted with radiant motion. Lightning like rivers of gold flowed outward, touching every realm of existence. What the cross accomplished in flesh, heaven mirrored in glory. Michael raised his sword, not to strike, but to salute his king. Uriel lifted his hands, and beams of revelation scattered through the cosmos. Heaven recorded the decree, engraving it into the light that holds the universe together. "It is finished" became a law written into creation's very structure. No accusation could stand, no curse could linger, no shadow could remain. From that moment forward, everything changed forever. And heaven, for the first time, roared with victorious silence. When the words, "It is finished," faded into eternity, heaven did not respond with trumpets or shouts. Instead, an explosion of light burst from the throne, brighter than 1,000,000 suns. It was not a sound the ears could hear, but a frequency the soul could feel. The universe vibrated with the heartbeat of God, a melody beyond creation itself. Heaven was not making noise, heaven was glowing. The radiance spread through the heavenly realms like a living wave. Angels rose, not to sing, but to shine, each one transformed into a reflection of divine victory. Their wings unfolded, scattering sparks that painted the skies with fire and gold. Every beam of light carried a single message: the Lamb has won. The celebration was silent, yet louder than all the worship ever offered before. Michael knelt with his head bowed, his armor trembling under the weight of holiness. Uriel stood beside him, eyes aflame with revelation, holding a scroll of living light. Together they watched as the glory of the cross consumed the heavens. Not a word was spoken, for words were too small for what they witnessed. This was not worship by voice, it was worship by existence. Across creation, stars aligned in patterns unseen since the dawn of time. Comets blazed like divine signatures across the darkness of space. Every atom in the universe resonated with the same pulse: love fulfilled. Heaven's silence became its loudest praise, a worship that could never end. And in that light, the throne smiled, for the universe was finally at peace. At the very instant the body of Jesus went still, heaven crowned him alive, not with gold, but with glory, not with jewels, but with scars that shone like stars. The moment his heart stopped, the throne of eternity rose. Every angel, every dominion, every realm knew what had just happened. Death did not take him. He took dominion over death itself. Michael stood to attention, sword raised in honor, his voice trembling with reverence. The warrior of heaven bowed before the crucified king. Uriel, the keeper of light, released a surge of radiance that wrapped the heavens in gold. A voice thundered across eternity: "Behold, the Lion of Judah has prevailed." The crown of thorns became the crown of kingdoms. The coronation was not a ceremony, it was an eruption of divine order. The universe, once fractured, realigned around its rightful center. Every angelic rank shifted, every realm adjusted to his reign. Creation's music changed key from lament to everlasting triumph. The king was enthroned not by assent, but by surrender. And as the heavens settled into their new harmony, time itself bowed in worship. The Father's presence surrounded the Son like fire, embracing fire. From that throne came a river of light, redemption flowing through eternity. The cross, once a symbol of pain, now pulsed as the heartbeat of heaven. Through death, he wore a crown that no power could ever remove. The cross did not end its story on a hill. Its sound still travels through eternity. Every prayer whispered in faith becomes a vibration that heaven remembers. When a soul kneels in surrender, the same light that filled the throne returns. The echo that once shook eternity continues to pulse through creation. Heaven still moves every time love wins over fear. Michael still stands guard over that covenant, his sword gleaming with eternal flame. Uriel still carries the revelation of that moment, guiding hearts toward divine truth. The angels who once wept fire still watch the earth, rejoicing whenever grace is received. Each act of mercy, each spark of forgiveness reignites that celestial glow. The crucifixion was not an end, it was the start of a living echo. Even now, the throne radiates the memory of that sacred day. When you cry out in pain, heaven trembles with compassion. When you rise again from darkness, the same power that raised Christ moves within you. The universe still hums with that victorious phrase, "It is finished." It is not just history, it is happening again through every redeemed soul. So listen carefully, and you'll feel it, that pulse of heaven within your heart. The echo of the cross still calls, still redeems, still reigns. And when the final trumpet sounds, that echo will return as a shout of glory. Heaven will rise once more, not in sorrow, but in celebration. For what happened in heaven when Jesus died still happens every time a soul is saved. What if heaven still moves every time you remember that moment? What if the same light that broke through eternity on that hill now burns inside you? The story didn't end with nails and a tomb. It continues every time faith rises from fear, every prayer, Every act of love, every whisper of forgiveness reignites that sacred fire. Because what happened in heaven when Jesus died never truly stopped. Heaven still trembles at mercy, angels still rejoice at redemption. The throne still shines with the echo of "It is finished," and the same spirit that hovered over creation now hovers over you, waiting for your yes. You were never forgotten in that story. You were the reason for it. So when darkness tells you you're alone, remember the heavens that once wept light for you. When guilt tries to chain your heart, remember the throne that still radiates grace. And when the world grows silent, listen, not with your ears, but with your soul. Because if you're still breathing, heaven is still moving. The cross is still echoing. The story is still alive. If this revelation opened your eyes, share it. Let others hear the sound of eternity too. Subscribe to Luminous Source and join this journey of hidden truths, divine mysteries, and light unveiled. The same power that shook heaven lives in you. Never forget it. Never stop believing. Never let the silence fool you. Heaven still speaks, and its voice is love.